Hey everybody, good morning, happy Monday, and welcome to the blog workshop. We are thrilled that you have joined us this morning, and we're really excited because we are working this month on niche mastery, and today we're going to talk about how you can become an authority figure in your niche. And yes, you can do it. No matter where you're at in your journey, you can absolutely do it, and we're going to give you a few tips and a few ways to make it happen. Hi Kelly, how are you?
Hi, Jackie. Good morning. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good, good, good. How are you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. I'm excited about this topic because it's things that honestly I've only just started doing recently. So, I was afraid to try to do more than I thought I was able to. I had doubts about myself. So I've really been trying to crush those doubts and just break through the wall and get out of the box and do what I have to do.
Yeah, it's very exciting, and I think really the main thing that holds people back from becoming, a big name blogger or an authority in their niche is themselves and what they think they're capable of and what they think they can do or should do, and all those limiting beliefs. And so, this is not on our topic today, but it is one of the reasons that I read daily and I listen to empowering audio so that you can listen to people who have come before you and have succeeded. You can find people who have been through similar situations as you and come out the other side. It not only gives you, hope for the future, but it also gives you the ability to listen to people who are successful, and you start learning the way they talk and the way they speak and the way they present things, and it kind of rubs off on you. It's funny because every once in a while I'll notice like the way that I'm speaking, and I'm like, oh wow, that really sounds like so and so who I listen to all the time, and I'm like, okay, I guess it's working then.
And
So
the other thing is if you want to be an authority in your field or in your niche, you have to keep learning. And reading other people's stuff is such a great way to do that. Not only does it, I keep hearing these weird noises. Not only does it help you keep learning, but I don't know what that one was. Not only does it help you keep learning so that you constantly have new things to talk about in your blog, but reading other people's writing makes you a better writer. It's it's one of the two things to be a better writer is to write and to read. It's getting practice writing and reading other people to see how words are put together, in ways that you like.
absolutely. Gosh, we're getting way off topic, but I just bought this book because I saw it on Facebook. Somebody mentioned it on Facebook, and I went, and the excerpt of the book and the way she put words together, and like it was almost lyrical, and I was like, I don't necessarily want to read this book, but I want to read her writing. And so I'm reading it, and just the way that she's writing is really magical, and it's not really necessarily a topic I would generally read about, but because it's so well written, and I'm learning things, and some of the ideas I had about writing, like my writing and the way I could write, are kind of being like crushed a little bit. I'm seeing
Yeah.
ways that I can do things I didn't think I could do before, and how I can implement some things. A little bit more flowery, more descriptive. I mean, just gosh, the way she describes things is wonderful. Anyway, so yes, reading and listening and writing are really the best ways you're going to become a better blogger and a better writer. So do those things for sure. Okay, well let's jump into the 5. Did you have any other thing to say?
No, I was going to say that actually kind of leads us right into the first thing.
It does. It does. The first thing is, look at us, little segue masters here. The first thing is actually to be an author. And now with Kindle, it is so easy to become a published author. You can do it on your own. You don't need a publishing house to do it. You just need to figure out how to publish to Kindle. And you can write a book about whatever it is that your niche is, whether you want to pull some Peruvian recipes together, Kelly, and then
I
put it on Kindle. She's been
I
talking
keep
about that for
I'll
way
do it.
too
I
long
promise I'm going to do
now.
it.
Or whether you are a mom and you've got some tips of how to get your kid off to school. Now is a timely time to pull those things together. And then just publish to Kindle. and then share it with people on Facebook or on your blog, or put it in the sidebar that you have this book. When you have a book, it may not seem like a huge thing to have like a Kindle book that maybe it's free or maybe it's $1.99 or whatever. Might not seem like such a big thing, but how many people have actually done that? And that's what creates authority, is doing the things that other people aren't willing to do. And writing a book and putting it up for sale on Kindle is definitely one of those things.
And when you do something like that on your own, and you publish it and you've got it on Amazon, you may feel like, well, it wasn't really that much. It was just a little something I threw together, and now I'm selling it for 99 cents or whatever. But other people see you as an author on Amazon, and they're like, holy crap. I went to high school with her, and now she's getting published on Amazon. That's like, oh, my God. People who aren't in this industry don't realize what's involved with doing that. They just see you as a published author on Amazon.
Exactly.
And that's freaking amazing. And putting something together to do that is so easy. If you've been blogging for a little while, go through one of your categories on your blog and pick a bunch of related posts and just reformat them into a book. You can even put it all into WordPerfect and pay somebody on $5 to format it to Kindle. I mean, there are people on Fiverr who will do it for $5. It's that easy to get it done, really.
Oh gosh, y'all are getting me excited now. I think I'm gonna have.
My thing is, I want to put together my recipe book, but I really need to test on my recipes, and I hardly ever cook anymore. So it's made it kind of hard, and I don't really want to cook anymore right now. It's not a priority for me. So I've been trying to talk other people into trying my recipes and make sure they work.
Well, that's a good idea.
Yeah. If it works for somebody else, I know it'll work, because if I'm doing something, and this is way off topic. If I'm trying my recipe and it doesn't look quite right, I'll just like add a little more milk or do it, and then I'm like, well, now that's not my recipe. So
right. I get that.
So anyways, so
what if people are just completely freaked out? They haven't been blogging for a really long time. They don't think they can be a published author. What tips do you have for them to try so that they can just do it?
Another option is even though Amazon does not like PLR, which private label rights is material content that you can purchase to use as your own. They don't want people publishing PLR, which is completely understandable, because imagine that you've bought something and some other person has bought the same packet and you're both selling it with different titles as different authors on Amazon. That looks pretty
bad.
Yeah. So, but if you have I have a lot of PLR that I've bought about the topics that I blog about, and I use them mostly for research. If you have PLR like that, a bunch of different things, say on cooking with quinoa, for instance, you've got several different PLR things on cooking with quinoa. You can take stuff from all of them and combine it together to create your own product, and then publish that. So that's one way that you can get content if you don't feel like if you don't really have the confidence yet in your own writing to kind of do it on your own.
That's a great idea. And there's PLR out there for just about anything and everything you can imagine. So you can get a few different packs and then mix and match, put them together, fill in some words yourself, like some sequiturs, and just make it your own. And then, like Kelly said, have somebody on Fiverr format it for Kindle for you, and then you'll be ready to go. It really is as simple as that. I think sometimes we think of things and we're like, oh my gosh, that's so hard, I could never do that, it's so complicated, but it's because you don't know. Maybe you haven't done any research, you don't realize how simple it really can be. And you end up blowing it up in your mind until it's this huge thing that is impossible, but really it's a few steps and it's pretty simple. You could do it in a week if you really set your mind to it.
And remember that you're not writing War and Peace here. It doesn't have to be a huge, long novel or anything.
Right.
Just something with a couple of quick chapters. It's really all you need to sell it on Amazon. Just 3 or 4 chapters that go through explaining the basics of whatever it is that you want to write about, and you sell it for 99 cents or $1.99,
You ever do. You can do it. So, I mean, right now, your actions for this one could be think of a topic, pull your blog post together if you have them, or find some PLR, or write it up yourself. You know, make an outline, get like 3 or 5 chapters and topics within those chapters, and write it. And then find somebody on Fiverr to do it for you. I mean, the big thing is you have to do it. You have to take action. So this is probably one of the super simple things that you can do that is going to have a huge effect on your authority in your niche. So it's definitely worth doing.
Yes.
Okay, so the next one is to network with experts. This one's really fun, and I think it was probably a couple summers ago I did this. I did an entire series of interviews with really popular bloggers. It was a lot of fun. I learned a ton, and when they did their interview with me, they shared the interview with their community, so I ended up getting a lot of traffic, and my blog grew. And how did I do it? Simple. I just sent them an email.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it really was that simple. Were there people who didn't respond? Were there people who said, oh, I'm really too busy, I can't do it? Yep, there were. But I got like 5 or 6 people who said yes, and we had an awesome interview. And, no matter how you do it, I think we actually did it on the phone. I had a free conference call line, and we just both called into the conference call, and we just chatted for, I think, 15 minutes, I think they were, or about that. And so it was probably a few years ago before Google Hangouts. You could do a Google Hangout interview. You could do a Skype interview. It's a little bit more difficult to record those, but there's definitely ways to do it. But with Google Hangouts now, I mean, just like me and Kelly right now, this is the easiest thing to do. All you do is you go into your YouTube channel, click Start a Hangout. I mean, really, it's that simple. And then just invite the person that you're having a conversation with. It is the simplest thing. Google does all the recording for you. You just, at the end, they'll upload it all for you, and then you just grab the URL, just like you would any other YouTube video, stick it in your blog. It's that easy. So if you haven't done a Hangout, my goodness, I highly recommend that you try one, just because they're awesome. And again, this probably isn't on our list, but doing something live on video is another way to increase your authority in your niche, for sure. So
absolutely.
Grab another blogger friend, just me and Kelly, and start doing, a hangout. Invite your friends, invite your readers. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. You could do recipes in the kitchen. You could talk about, do an activity, show people how to crochet. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You just have to do it. Again, the keyword. So anyway, back to interviews. It really is as simple as sending people an email. Tell them what you're doing, why you're doing it, and why you want them, why you think they're a good fit for what you're doing. My series was about, gosh, now that I think about it, it's probably been 5 years ago since I did that. It seems like yesterday. Because one of the people I had on was 100 Days of Real Food, Lisa, and I think she was just starting her blog. Oh my gosh, that's too crazy. And I had Mandy Eman on, and so I had some popular bloggers, and I wanted to talk to people who were moms, just like me, because it was on this blog, it was on It's Wham Life, and I wanted to talk to moms who were bloggers, or bloggers who were moms, just like me, and I wanted to know how they were able to create really big blogs and really popular blogs, and how they did it, and how they did it so quickly. And they each kind of had different strategies, so it was really, really interesting to have those conversations, because I learned new things. This is like the benefit, the serious benefit of interviews, is that you learn inside tricks and tips from people who are doing really well. So you get to kind of have an inside look at what they're doing and how they're doing it, and then you can implement it in your business too. But you're also providing great content and creating authority, because now you're connected with these well-known people.
And doing interviews and putting them on your blog isn't the only way that you can do that. Connecting with people on social media and reposting things that they say, and letting people know that this is who you follow. People connect you with that person when you start talking about, oh, I was reading this on so and so's blog the other day. I know when I first started, I can't count how many times I probably said, "Oh, I was talking to Jackie Lee from It's a Warm Life," and she said, and I still do, just because Jackie and I talk every day. But it made me look like I knew what I was talking about because I was talking to Jackie, and she knew what she was talking about, or that's the way it felt in my head, anyways. And something else that you just said when you talked to, this is a little bit off topic, but when you were interviewing all those bloggers, and each one of them kind of had their own way of doing things, but they all worked. That's such an important thing for people to hear, that I wanted to make sure we kind of mentioned it.
Yeah.
Just because something is working right for one person, it might not work right for you, but there is something that will work right for you. You have to find what feels good to you and just do it. It's the consistency of picking a strategy and staying with it. Consistent, not veering. If something doesn't fit with your strategy, don't do that thing. Stick with what you're doing, and you will be successful. Because the problem is when people say, "Oh, well, this guy's doing this and this girl's doing this," and you try to do a little of this and a little of that and a little of the other guy, and you get yourself so confused that you're not being consistent with what you're doing and nothing's going to work. But when you pick a strategy and you do it consistently, it's going to work.
Absolutely. That is so true. So true.
And it doesn't matter which strategy, because they'll all work. If you want to do SEO, it will work. You just have to do it. If you want to do a Pinterest strategy, it will work, but you just have to focus on it and do it consistently. So there's that.
That is so true. It's so interesting because not everyone, lots of people come to me and they're like, "Well, what's the secret? What's the strategy? How do I do it?" And I feel I don't want to tell them because I don't know what's going to work for them. I can tell them what's worked for me. I can tell them what's worked for you.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't say this is the secret because it might not be your secret. It might be my secret, but it might not be yours. So when people aren't giving you the answer, it's because you have to find your own answer. You may have to fumble around a few times. You may have to try some different things until you click with something really well and you realize, "Oh, wow, this makes me really excited to get out of bed in the morning. I'm excited to do this. I want to do this every day." That's when you know you've hit it, and you've got to just stick with it. Yep. If you find yourself dreading going to your computer in the morning, say you've picked SEO, and now you know you have to sit down and do 200,000 backlinks today, and that makes you want to throw up and go back to bed, then you probably have not found the right strategy for you. But if you are working on Instagram or Pinterest and you get excited to go out into the world so you can take a picture that you can share on Instagram for the day, that's probably a good thing. And then you just need to stick with it. And you need to research and find anything that you can find that's going to help you improve your strategy in that one aspect. So,
and I think that kind of, I'm sorry.
One of the elements that's going to create authority for you in your niche. Because if people see you bouncing all over the place, doing this one thing, then that thing, then this thing, they're not going to take you seriously. They're not going to believe that you are an authority in this area because you're all over the place. Go ahead, Kelly. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, and actually that kind of takes us into our next
super.
Our next topic, to show that you're cutting edge. Show that you're trying things, that you're doing these things. When you can show that you're willing to learn and that you're willing to share new information, it helps people see you as an authority because you're not just stuck in what you're doing and not advancing. You think of any authority in any field, even off of the internet, the best authorities are the people that are always sharing new information. And if you want to be an authority in your niche, you have to know that new information, which kind of goes back to what I was saying about reading and listening, learning new stuff to share.
Right. So, Kelly, this could sound a little bit contradictory. We're saying stick with one thing, and yet we're saying try new things. So how do we make sense of that for people who are wondering? Because I'm wondering a little bit.
Well, because of what you were saying. What you were saying, if you're doing something, if you've decided on something, and it's just not working for you. Even your like when I was doing a while back, I was really focused on Twitter, and I stuck with it for well over 3 months, almost 4 months, and I stuck with what I was doing, and I did it consistently, and I grew my Twitter followers by leaps and bounds, well over doubled the number of Twitter followers I had. But after doing all that and being consistent with it, I found it wasn't getting me I liked doing it, and I was doing good with it, but it wasn't bringing me traffic. So I realized this strategy wasn't working for me. So I was willing to move on and learn something new and start moving with something else. And even if Twitter had worked for me, in order to continue teaching people on my blog, I have to know the other strategies. You know, because just because if Twitter had worked for me, I could have focused my whole blog on just doing Twitter, but that's not what I want for my blog. I want to help other people learn how to do what worked for them. So it's necessary for me to know this other stuff, to learn about it, so that I can open them up to it. And I think that's when you're sharing the new information. It doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to change what you're doing, but you're giving that information to other people.
Yeah, the other thing I'd add to that, though, is when you were focused on Twitter, you were sharing new things about Twitter all the time.
Absolutely.
You were doing active research, trying to figure out how to make Twitter work, how to make it work better, how to make it work faster, quicker, easier, and you were sharing that all along the way.
Right.
So it's just, you have to do a little bit of research once you pick the thing. And I like that idea. I am like the worst about that. Where you learn something new and you're like, oh, I have to try it. And so you don't necessarily have to change what you're using to do your marketing, but you may want to learn other things so that you can keep sharing it with your audience. Now, your blog may not be like that. You know, you may be doing chicken crock pot recipes, so you're just going to keep working the hell out of chicken crock pot recipes and find new ones, create new ones, make new ones, you know, and just stick with that. But, you know, your marketing might be a little bit different. You might need to try Pinterest. You might want to try Instagram. You know, and you have to find some way. Writing is not enough. You've got to find a marketing method that's going to work for you, that you can go 100% down that road.
You know, if you're talking about chicken crockpot recipes, you might, instead of just using a whole chicken or whatever, you might try recipes that use a new, I don't know, because I don't live in the United States, I don't know what's in the grocery stores. But, you know, there are different brands that market different kinds of chicken, you know, different frozen products or whatever, different flavors of chicken. Or maybe you do a crockpot recipe that uses a rotisserie chicken from the grocery stores. And, you know, there are different things you can do than just, well, you start with your chicken, you know.
Right.
Experiment and find new things.
Sure.
Different flavors, you know, maybe you've never done Asian-inspired dishes before. So you start branching out into that. You know, it's new information that you didn't do before, or Peruvian chicken that you never tried before. You know, there's different ways that you can branch out if that's your thing.
Absolutely. So, you know, the next thing that we're going to talk about is kind of along the lines of your Twitter thing, and it's to share your own success, or maybe you're not success. You know, depending on what the case may be. Some of my favorite bloggers, the people I trust the most, like Pat Flynn is one of them. He does like case studies all the time with his own stuff. He just tries something to see if it's going to work. At the beginning, he says, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I think is going to happen. This is what I hope is going to happen. And then you get to follow him through the entire journey, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But you know that Pat Flynn is always going to be honest with you. You can trust him because you've watched him succeed, you've watched him fail, you've watched things like skyrocket to the top, and you've watched things just kind of fizzle out. But you know, because he's done all of this stuff, he's been so transparent with his experiments, that you know that you can trust Pat. And that makes him an authority, because it's somebody who you feel comfortable saying, oh, you can go to Pat. And that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to make your readers feel so comfortable with you and trust you so much that they are willing to tell their friends, oh, you can go to Jackie, oh, you can go to Kelly for that information. And sharing your own success and doing you know, this summer I've kind of done a little bit of this, and I haven't been very consistent with it, but the whole decluttering thing, you can see my bookshelf back there is still clutter-free. I'm very excited. I tried to put a bunch of crap on the shelves yesterday, and I'm like, oh, no, no, no. That's not where we store the junk now.
Would you like to come and visit my house and try to put that back there?
And yesterday, I made a good start on the junk room, which is, oh, God, it was a scary mess. But I think I'm actually going to write a blog post about it maybe on Wednesday, because the day before, totally off topic, the day before that, Hannah was supposed to be cleaning her room, and it was a huge mess, and she just didn't even know where to start. So yesterday, I bring her downstairs to the junk room, and I'm standing in the exact same position she was in the day before. I'm like, oh my God, this place is such a mess, I don't even know where to start. But it was a great lesson to talk about, you know, sometimes things are so big and so overwhelming that you don't even know where to start. And you just have to pick one thing, one little tiny thing that's going to create a result, enough of a result, that's going to give you encouragement that there's hope that you can get through it. So, like, there was a whole pile of clothes that were supposed to go to Goodwill that it just keep piling and piling and piling and piling. So I started there. And then all of a sudden, with that space cleared, I could actually reach the next thing to clean it. So it's the same thing with internet marketing and blogging. You just have to pick one little thing that you can work on to create enough progress to give you hope that there's hope.
Exactly.
But that's the thing, is that if you can take on a project, whether it's like doubling your Twitter followers or tripling your Instagram followers or getting your first sale on your blog, or, you know, cleaning out your junk room, and let people follow you through the journey. We talked about journey blogs, you know, last week on our show, and you can incorporate a journey into any kind of blog. And doing that, you know, there was a blog a while ago. It was 365 days of crock pot cooking. I love that blog, and it was so fun to stop by every single day to see if she'd managed to cook something in her crock pot that day. So, you know, it doesn't have to be your whole blog, doesn't have to be your journey. But you can make a journey in your blog so that people will start to respect you and know you and trust that you're going to stick with the project, actually, see it through, that you're going to take action needed to complete the task, and you're willing to share it openly and honestly as you go through the journey. I mean, that just lets people into your life in a way that most bloggers really aren't willing to do, and it sets you apart from the rest. And being set apart from the rest is what creates authority in your niche. Go ahead, Kelly. I know I'm rambly.
No, it's just when you started to say that 365 days, I thought you were going to say 365 days of Pinterest, which is exactly what I was thinking.
Oh yeah, that's the whole.
I mean, she just decided she saw these great things on Pinterest and she was pinning them and not doing them. So she decided, you know what? I'm going to commit myself to every day doing one thing that I see on Pinterest. And she blogged about it for a whole year, and it turned out so great. She's doing it for another year now.
I think it turned into 365
yeah, 365-ish days. So, but it's, you know, that's how you do it. You know, just find something that appeals to you. It's really that simple. And then be consistent with it.
Absolutely. All right.
You could do
so we're
52
almost
days.
We've got one more thing left to go. And this is a big one because most people aren't willing to do it. But you've got to be accessible. And now it's easier than ever to be accessible because of social media. Mm-hmm. You've got to be accessible to your customers, to your prospects, to your competitors, people who might want to network with you, who might want to do an interview with you. So make sure that you have contact information on your blog. Make sure that you have a way for people to connect with you on social media. Have a way for people that email you. My cat is howling. But be accessible. You know, in most of my emails, when people get on my list, I say, you know, if you need anything, just reply. Hit reply. Because the reply address in my autoresponder, yes, it's an autoresponder, and I send the email out to thousands of people at one time. But if somebody replies, it actually comes to me. It's not some random fake email address that I don't have to deal with. It comes right to me. And I get the email and I reply because I think it's awesome when people reply to my emails and want, you know, to talk to me. I love that. Kelly?
Absolutely. I do the same thing. You know, I tell people, reply when my first email that goes out to someone on my list, I tell them right then, I say, you know, I love to know who you are. Reply to this email. The very first email that they get from me says, reply to this email and tell me a little bit about you, what you're working on, what your challenges are, so that I can help you, because that's what I want to do. I want people to feel like they're getting supported and getting help that they need, if with improving their blog.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that I used to be super scared of when I first started blogging was, if I give people access to me, they're going to inundate me, and I'm going to get emails all the time, and I'm never going to have a chance to do any work because people are going to be emailing me all the time. Yeah, that doesn't happen. It really doesn't. Even now, I have a big list, and I hardly ever get emails. So don't think that if you put your information out there and you make yourself accessible that you're going to get overwhelmed. Chances are that you're not. I mean, unless you're like Copyblogger, I think you're going to be okay. And if you get to the point you're a Copyblogger, that's awesome, and you can hire an assistant. Correct.
That's exactly what I was thinking. If you get to the point where you've got so many people emailing you that you can't keep up with it, then you're probably doing well enough you can afford to hire an assistant to help you out with your emails.
So just, if that's your fear, just let it go, because chances are it is not going to happen, and you're going to be okay. And the benefit of putting yourself out there and being accessible to people really, really, really outweighs any of the downside. Are you going to get a hateful email then? Probably, yeah. Is it going to hurt your feelings? Probably, yeah. Do you get over it? Yeah, you do.
How long have I been blogging? At least 10 years. I've had a blog, at least 10 years, more than 10 years. And in all that time, I've got one mean email. And it wasn't even that mean. So, they're just, you're ridiculous. And so, okay. Sorry you think so.
That's hilarious.
I just emailed them back and said, you do know that you can unsubscribe. It's okay. You don't have to keep getting emails you don't like. But yeah, and in all that time I've had one even slightly mean email, and I get at max a couple of emails a month from people on my list. So, I didn't used to get any, and now I get a couple of months, so that's good. It's better.
Oh, the other thing that I wanted to mention real quick in being accessible is simple things, like on Facebook. Make sure you have a picture of yourself in your profile. Let people know who you are, that you're a real person. Because there's so many people on the internet who are just automating so much of it that there really isn't a real person behind the blog or the website or whatever. So just by being a real person, you set yourself apart and you give yourself some semblance of authority. So it really is as simple as those little kinds of things, like just sharing a picture of yourself in your profile.
And, something else that Jackie and I did was we started our Facebook group for people who are on our email lists. And that's because, I really want to be accessible to people who want help. I want them to be able to reach us. And if I can't help them, Jackie can, and vice versa. If she can't help somebody on her list, maybe I can. Mm-hmm. So, it just gives us another way that we can be there for people that are looking for help. Because really, that's what my blog is about, is helping people. And if they can't reach me, how am I helping them,
Absolutely. Setting up a Facebook group is a great way to be accessible. And you might think that it's going to be super overwhelming, again, like putting your address out there and stuff. But it's really not, especially if you go in it with a friend. That way, you don't have all the pressure of being there for everyone all the time. Doing it with a partner is a great idea. And I'm just going to bring this up. If you don't have a blogging buddy, you really should get one. Because it makes the whole process so much easier and so much more fun to have somebody that you can connect with, that they can give you a good kick in the butt when you need it. They can give you a pep talk when you need it. They can share responsibilities, if you decide to set up a group or something. Having a blogging buddy is fantastic. And it's a great way to get the word out, because then you guys can help each other. If your blogging buddy's setting up a new service that is relevant to your list, you can write a blog post about it, you can send them a link. It just helps you grow by having friends. I mean, really, this is the piece that I missed when I started blogging. I didn't get it. I thought I could do it all by myself. And you really can't. You need a circle of friends. That is how the big bloggers, people who grow quickly, that's how they do it. They have a group of blogging buddies. really.
And, you know,
We
just
need to
this
talk about
weekend.
that soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me say, just this weekend, I got an idea for something I wanted to do. And so I immediately sent Jackie a message and said, hey, do you have a few minutes to kind of mastermind with me on this and, you know, help me come up with ideas? And within 10 minutes, there was Jackie, and we're talking about this idea and fleshing it out and making it into something. So, you know, and if I hadn't had Jackie to go to and say, hey, you got a few minutes to talk about this, I probably would have put that idea on a back burner, and 6 months from now it would still be sitting there as a note in a notebook somewhere, and I wouldn't have done anything. But now I feel obligated because I've told Jackie I'm going to do it. So I got to do it.
That's what it's all about, obligation.
Obligation is the key to consistency.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, well, we are over time, and I don't want to take too long. So thank you guys for joining us on Blog Workshop today. Next week, we may have a very special surprise, so you want to make sure that you stay tuned in and keep checking back with us so we can let you know what's going on. Have an awesome week, and make sure you take action on this. Pick one of these 5 things. Pick one, seriously, this week.
Anyone.
Not someday, because someday is not a day of the week. Let's do it this week. Pick one and write down a plan and make it happen this week. And when you do, let us know. We are accessible.
If you're not on one of our email lists, somewhere, if you're looking at this in our blog, there's going to be somewhere that you can sign up and get on it. And when you do, join us on Facebook. Join our group on Facebook. You can only get in there if you're in one of our email lists. So we want to know you and we want to help you out.
Absolutely.
We want to talk to you.
And that group is a fantastic place for accountability and meeting blogging buddies and good things like that. So do that. Jump on our list, and we will send you an invitation to the group, and we will see you there. Otherwise, we will see you next Monday morning, same time, same place on Blog Workshop. Have an awesome week, guys.
Bye.